2. So we're almost at 15 seconds. This is the kill time while everything loads up mode. And we're there. So, actually, my timer didn't start right, so we're way over. Way over. Welcome to part 2. Part 2 of grit. The really brief amount of grit. There's so much more to it that's possible, and there's so much more to it that you can learn. The fun part, right? The nerdy fun part. So, what we're going to look at now, we talked about this morning, was the ingredients for grit, right? And that goes into, one is you have to know your obstacles and all of that. We talked about that a little bit last couple days. The equation for grit, and just so I get it right, talent times effort equals skills, and skills times effort equals achievement. That's why effort counts twice. So it doesn't matter. It helps if you have talent, and talent is how quickly you acquire a skill, right? So if you do have a lot of talent and you put in a lot of effort, you'll get there a lot quicker. If you don't have a lot of talent, you just have to put more effort in. So it depends on how bad you want it, which was part of the title this morning. And that's actually a book also, but I need to get into that one. So how bad do you want it gets us into 2 questions that are super important. And then I have a big list of questions for you to answer. Probably too many, but I'm just going to go with it. So the 2 primary questions to ask yourself if you want to develop grit for something you want to achieve. And this is for, like, you got a goal, you got something, you have a wish, if you whooped something, right? You have a wish, outcome, obstacle, and a plan for what you want to achieve. Building grit in for that requires, I think, 2 initial questions. And those are, what are you willing to sacrifice? Number 1, what are you willing to sacrifice? And then what are you willing to not sacrifice? And that's how determined you will be, right? Because I know a lot of people are like, I really want to get in shape, or I really want to start a business, or I really want to do X, Y, and Z. And then when it comes down to it and it gets hard or whatever, they don't. I do stuff like that too. I do stuff like that. I'm aware of it, which sometimes gets frustrating, but it helps when you make a list of the things. It's like, here's what I want to accomplish, and here are all the things that I'm willing to give up. I'm willing to give up going out on Friday night or spending time with friends and family and celebrating certain holidays and doing things like that. For my powerlifting training, I'm willing to sacrifice certain aspects of travel and things. If I have a competition coming up, if I have a meet coming up, I will either not travel, make sure the first thing I do before I travel is get training in place or whatever. And then what are you not willing to do? And if you're not willing to do more than what you're willing to do, then you probably don't really, really want to do it. And trying to develop grit for that is going to be a futile effort. So find something that you really want to do. That's all it comes down to. And the other thing too is being honest with yourself and not doing something because everybody thinks you should do it, or everybody says that's the best way to do it, or everybody is doing it. It's because you want to do it. Who cares what everybody else is doing? If you want a big list, this isn't a big list, it's like 4 things. As far as developing grit, besides those 2 questions, it would be, and I wrote these down because I wanted to make sure I remembered them. You want to develop interest, the practice, the purpose, and then hope, like we talked about. But what level of interest do you have? Like I just said, if you're not interested, then why bother? There's one. How will you engage to achieve your goal? That's a fancy way of saying, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, and what are you going to do at an intense level so that you can achieve it in the way that you want? Because you can set a goal and just be all laissez-faire about it and like do a little bit here and there, and then 5 years later you haven't achieved anything because it's a hobby, not something that you're super serious about. So identifying that in the what you're willing to sacrifice and not sacrifice. Is this going to be a hobby? Like, I enjoy it and I just like doing it. Or is it going to be, this is something I want to get really good at, Or if you want to go another levels, it's going to be something I want to master. And it doesn't take 10,000 hours. Anybody tells you 10,000 hours or read too many books and read Gladwell Malcolm's, really, it's an amazing book. I can't remember the name of it, but that's a marketing ploy, and it's not a fact. It's a generalization. It ranged anywhere from like 3,000 to like 20,000 hours. So it all goes into how you practice and deliberate practice and all that, but I won't get into that. So, purpose. Does your goal serve something bigger than you? Because developing grit for something that you are doing just for yourself doesn't always work for everybody. It works for very few people. Serving other people is a huge bonus, it'll help inspire you. And then hoping for a better future, right? Going through the hope that we talked about in the previous videos. So, number one, if you don't answer all of those, that's cool. 2 big questions when you want to develop grit and achieve something. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to not sacrifice? And being honest with yourself about that. And then saying, you know what? Apparently, you make your list, right? You look at it and you go, oh, crap. Apparently, I'm not really serious about this. So don't waste your time. That's what it comes down to. This is the biggest thing, is figuring this stuff out so you don't waste your time doing something that you think you want to do when you're really not committed to doing it. I've done that too. So, all right. Whew, I went over the 7-minute mark. I'm refining this more and more, get this dialed in more and more. And as always, you know what? Before as always, down below, I forgot the link in the first one. Down below is the link to the Human Upgrade Project. Go to thehumanupgradeproject.com. If you're a high-performing woman or if you are a strength athlete, sign up for my sleep class next week, my peak performance sleep system crash course. You know, I like efficiency and effectiveness and doing things that are fun and aren't going to waste time and getting rid of all the crap that everybody tells you you're supposed to do. Because why do the stuff that everybody tells you you're supposed to do if it doesn't work? So I figured that out and I applied it to sleep and it works in 5 days. So click on that link, go over there, sign up. It's free. I forgot to mention that. It's free. And with that said, have an amazing day, because